Circus parades are always fun, so have one today. Who would you like to be? A lovely white circus pony prancing and dancing in time to the music? A clown making funny faces as he hobbles along? Or a lion tamer looking brave and strong? Make your choice and be ready. It's time for the circus parade to begin. Brave and strong.
And hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of Gaffing the Truth. We're back in live again, babies. Hey, after me having to make a quick travel as I moved across the country. Um, so we had to reset some stuff, and so glad to be back here live to see you guys. My name is Jeff with a G, and as always, with me is my great and wonderful friend, Scabs the Clown. How are you doing, Scabs?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Staying dry here in Houston. It's kind of nasty outside.
Well, it's kind of 'tis the season really for Houston, though. It gets kind of those middle months of the summer. It can get kind of either it's very wet or very dry. And there's no in between. And so this year it's very wet year. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're in hurricane season until what? November?
no, not that far. About late September. You might see some stuff
I don't know, man.
poking.
We've had some October hurricanes before.
But yeah, it's been very rare. It's usually around September, early October is usually when it ends out. I mean, to be fair, I'm here now on the East Coast, New York City, Brooklyn, Coney Island, which also can succumb to things like hurricanes and stuff too. So I opted to stay in places where I could get blown over by big, huge storms.
There you go.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like the storm from the day after tomorrow, because that one was gnarly.
That is true. Luckily, we don't have to worry about things like, like fake storms, so it should be okay.
Yeah, like where the poles shift, and you know, and then everything goes whack. It kind of seems like what's going on right now. All the weather's really weird all over the fucking place.
It's
like people up in the Northwest are getting 115-degree weather in July, and yeah, like being in Portland a couple weeks ago, like it was 89 degrees, and they were saying it was unseasonably hot, and people were like, "Oh, it's so unbearable," and I'm like, "Fuck you." Just fuck
feels
you.
kind of nice.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's like me walking around here when it's like a little bit cooler. So like I'm like, all right, cool. I'm wearing like jeans and like a light jacket, and they're going, "Man, aren't you hot?" I go, "No, this is actually kind of cool out because the high today was like 75, 76, and so literally I probably could have walked around wearing a jacket and been perfectly fine. Not that it was like cold or anything like that, but just it was like at least a weather where you can deal with wearing a jacket. Um, but but so far so good. Like living here in New York is pretty awesome. It's a cool place to town. It's kind of new and different. Uh, Different, like it's the same. The fact is, you go live in neighborhoods, you see signs are written in multiple languages for people to understand them. Like in Texas, usually you see English and then Spanish. Here, it's English and then Russian.
Wow, nice.
At least where I live at, because like this Coney Island, Brighton Beach area is where a lot of Russians immigrated to. So I guess it's only natural. And there's Russians on the block, so it's kind of cool. It's very diverse here. It's really fun. It's cool, and I live right by the beach. It's amazing.
Hell yeah.
It's cool. So, but you guys don't want to hear me
Get
talk
some
about
good
like
Russian food.
yeah. Yeah, there's some spots I think, but we're not here to talk about me and my glorious trips for being here in Coney Island. We're here to talk about some weird shit. And today, because we missed it because of my toes and stuff. Yeah, cool. Like the
Kind of
fact is,
breaking
like,
up there, buddy. You okay?
yeah, no, I'm fine on my end. I don't know what's going on your end. Yeah, talking aliens today.
Probably the way.
Probably the weather. Yeah. So everybody's watching the show either now or later. You're gonna see us just kind of go, mm-hmm, yeah, as we take turns talking. So the Pentagon just released a new forms about stuff concerning uh, the UFO reports. Like they just released all their big stuff for UFO reports, like going back 2 decades worth of what they call unidentified aerial phenomena, as far as to detail what these objects were. And in all the 144 cases or so, they only been able to classify one, and that was an obviously deflated weather balloon. Otherwise, they don't know what the other ones are necessarily, but they're not saying aliens, but they're also not saying aliens. They're also saying a lot of other countries and private sector stuff have some weird unidentified aerial phenomena out there. So, I don't know, we getting visited by aliens or what?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know why they decided to change it. Unidentified aerial phenomenon is AEO. No, it's
AEP, yeah.
UAO.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
UAP. UAP.
UAP, like UFO. Like I don't know. Like I'd rather just say UFO. Unidentified flying object. Yeah.
Well, I think they're probably using aerial phenomena to also detail the fact that it could be something natural based, or it could be something sometimes whether it's natural based, like saying like weird condensation that kind of just like the way it shifts just makes it look like it's a real thing, that sort of stuff. I think by saying aerial phenomena, like also puts in natural elements into it as well versus just strictly like man made or alien made objects. That'd be my guess.
But that doesn't. But still, UFO is unidentified flying object. I guess the word just got associated with aliens and outer
That's
space and stuff.
probably
So
also the other reason why
still,
they're changing it. Yeah, it's just the fact is that if they say UFO, everybody's going, well, it's got to be aliens. If they say unidentified aerial phenomenon, that means it could be a lot of other things, including things like, I don't know, like, the Richard Branson's new jet where he just flew in space for like 50 minutes, that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
And Sally says to the chat,
Yeah.
hey,
Well,
Sally.
yeah, I just found this. The term UFO, short for unidentified flying object, was coined in 1953 by the United States Air Force as a bucket term for unexplained sightings like these. Stateside sightings were hardly restricted to military flyover zones, however. The first recorded UFO sighting dates to 1639, when, long before the era of planes and satellites, John Winthrop wrote in his diary about a large, strange light in the sky that shot back and forth. By the time he and the other men on his boat got their wits about them, their vessel was a mile from where it had been when they first spotted the light.
Okay.
So, I mean, 1639 was a long time ago, but I mean, we have definite space junk that's been there for years and years and years. I mean, it's possible that it could have been space junk, could have been a shooting star, could have been an asteroid, something, and they were just like enamored with it, and their boat kind of floated away. Nobody was paying attention to where they were going,
Yeah,
but still, like it, could have been something in the sky. I mean, I know a lot of shore, fishermen, oil rigs, and they claim seeing lights under the water that come out of the water, and that goes like the abyss theory, underwater aliens and shit like that. Which, I mean, I'm totally fascinated by it, but it's also one of those, like, there's this whole debate about, do aliens come from outer space or under the ocean? Have you heard that debate yet?
I've heard some talk about that sort of stuff. Yeah, because we still don't know a lot about our under, like, we only go so deep before we actually know anything going on, and even still, it's very small amounts of the ocean do we actually kind of look at that sort of stuff. So talk is like
Oh
the
yeah,
idea,
what is it? There's like 85% of the ocean is unexplored.
yeah,
That's
approximately,
why, like,
yeah,
I mean, it's not like popular news. It's hard to, it's, if you got to look for it to find it, other than, if you just kind of catch it on a news reel or something. But they are constantly finding new fish in the ocean, new species in the ocean, new tardigrades, new, cephalopods, new fish, new all kinds of stuff in the ocean. It's wild. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a type of civilization or, you know, I guess smart species down there was, community based, not like a school of fish type of thing, but kind of like what we have, but like the movie The Abyss.
yeah. They're actually just showcased, like, they just found like a completely transparent, was it like an octopus, I think, where you could actually see all the inner workings on it from like really, really deep. Because once you get so deep, it really doesn't matter what you look like. Nobody can actually see you. So like it's all transparent. All you can do is
Yeah,
see the inner workings. So
yeah, because a lot of the things up top, they derive energy from the sun, I mean, similar to how we do.
yeah,
But when you get that low and there's no sunlight, then they have to find other ways.
yeah, nature finds
Like,
a
there's
way.
things that defied logic when we found them. Like, there's crabs that hang out at thermal vents, which are up to like 300-400 degrees, but they're just sitting on top of this thermal vent, picking the parasites and particles that come out of there to eat. So who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. Actually, what's really interesting, like that is a really good segue, is another big paper that just came out recently was like, as we're looking at places to live beyond us, beyond the Earth, a lot of attention's been turned towards Mars, of course, because Mars is the closest, other than the Moon, it's the next closest heavenly body, as it were, to us. Now,
That we
another,
know
yes, that we know of. Um, But let's talk about, like, the fact is, we're the other two things, like, but a couple other places, and one had been discussed before, not by us, but in ages past, as far as another, um, Another thing that may support life was the moon of Jupiter, Europa, uh, is
Europa,
one of
yeah,
those. It's Europa. But what's interesting,
because they found water spouts and water eruptions on it, so they're like they think it might be able to sustain life because there's water on it. But they've actually
yeah,
found other planets that are full of water, but it's not close enough to the sun. That's the whole debate about it.
yeah. Well, the fact is, but that's using photosynthesis as the primary target. But like as we were talking about, the fact is like creatures down in the deeps of the ocean, existing more by thermokinesis versus photosynthesis to do that sort of stuff. They're talking the fact is that maybe this life spans from that sort of stuff. For example, there's actually another moon that they actually link to saying have even a higher likelihood of at least microbial life, and that would be Enceladus, which is one of the moons of Saturn. What's interesting, the fact is, a lot of like people they actually rank that one even higher. It's an ice. Technically it's an icy moon of Saturn, because basically they thought originally nobody thought of it because they figured it'd just be too cold. But then when they kind of like as we've had satellites now pass by a couple of times and like that, they actually found things like chemical biosignatures, which may say that it might actually harbor microbial life. What's interesting about Enceladus, it looks like the fact is it actually has an underground, for lack of a term, an underground ocean. It has an icy crust underneath the water, over the water, and so everything that exists underneath is very thermal based as far as what got the core and stuff like that. And so they're thinking, based on these biosignatures, as far as types of methane and certain other things, that there's a really good potential that there might be at least microbial life on Encephalitis or Enceladus, because that's really where we started, anyways, is microbial stuff, and it grows from there. But like, it's if any sort of significant life there would be through a very different means, uh, because of they'd be wouldn't be using the sun to base this stuff like that. It's more in the warmth of the world. So who knows?
Yeah, like, but see, like that's the thing. Like we place so much, obviously, well, for us, water is what sustains life. Without water, we wouldn't be here. Without water, we wouldn't survive.
Correct.
And they think that matters on other planets. It could, um, but it also probably doesn't matter. Like we don't know. Like we find bacteria and different things in thermal vents or in frozen like frozen rock and stuff. Like so we just assume water is the thing that sustains when there could be methane based creatures on other planets, or there's an entire planet that's like basically a diamond because of how dense it is. Like it shines when they look at it, and the best pictures they've got of it, like it just looks kind of like a diamond from the distance. But my favorite planet, I mean, like I really hope nothing lives here. But while you were talking about that, I had to look this one up real quick just so I could, yeah. There's a blue marble alien planet just 63 light years from Earth. Like 63, like that's not terribly far in terms of the universe.
Hmm.
But the world is anything but friendly to life. Researchers say the blue planet in the atmosphere likely comes from a rain of molten glass. This super hot glass rain is just one consequence of the close proximity between the gas giant alien planet HD 89733b and its sun, which causes daytime temperatures to soar as high as 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit. A fresh set of observations of the planet in X-rays also suggest it has an outer atmosphere that is larger than expected. So basically, this planet is so hot that the stone of it melts and turns into glass, which is absorbed into the sky, rains as glass, and then melts. So it's molten glass raining constantly.
Ew, that sounds like a weird kind of. So when you think of like those weird like cheesy like sci-fi novels where they're talking about going to these planets where they're doing this weird sort of shit. That's what that sounds like. Like when they
Yeah,
go like
Planet of the
it's like
Vampires. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
It actually sounds like Mustafar from Star Wars.
That was the next thing I go. Or it's a weird kind of Star Wars planet because of course it would be a Star Wars planet.
Yeah, Star Wars planets are all based on one geological thing. So Hoth is the ice planet, Tatooine's the desert planet,
Oh
Coruscant's
yeah,
the city planet, Mustafar's the fire planet. Yeah, that's how it goes.
no,
And the
that makes
forest moon of
sense.
Endor is the woods planet, but
Yeah,
Dagobah's a swamp planet. Um, also, the forest moon of Endor is not Endor. Endor is the planet. The forest moon has a different name, and only nerds like me know that name because it was only on one set of Star Wars toys back in the late '80s. It's Sanctuary Moon. Nobody cares.
yeah. No, it's I was gonna say Pussy City, but oh well. Okay. Uh,
Pussy City. I mean, man, you
I
get
don't know.
there, everything's just wet.
That's true. Yeah, it's very expensive. It's very very expensive. It's like Vegas. Um,
Oh,
um. So
that's it.
yeah. There actually is like when
Man,
we're
we like
talking
we
about
like we like we like went off on planet tangents, and I'm now looking up weird planets because I don't know. I'm like, my thing is like sometimes when I'm trying to go to sleep, I listen to science stuff, but I also suck at sleeping, so I just learn about planets and outer space and the ocean and shit, and I just retain dumb knowledge that's going to be pointless anywhere else.
yeah, that's fair. I do that too.
But yeah, I know you got something cool before I go off on a tangent about planets because I'm looking for one in
Uh,
particular.
no, what I think is really cool is the fact is like with all this the UAPs, the unidentified aerial phenomenon. There actually is a congressman out of Indiana by the name of Andre Carson who actually wants to put a hearing together for them to like do like a congressional hearing about the sightings and whatnot to actually do like a big, huge things like about that. Now, Carson, who actually chairs the subcommittee of counterintelligence and counterproliferation on the House Intelligence Committee. Uh, so basically, it's just like he wants to have it set up so that way it's a lot more open as far as the public about it is because the report is really inconclusive. Basically, it goes, "Hey, we know what this one thing is. We don't know what any of these other things are." So inconclusive. Um, but the fact is, like over 100, like what 100, over nearly 150 sightings, like that's been officially logged, uh, and at least 80 of those has been detected by some of the best technology the world has ever seen and we can't rule out something that's otherworldly, but that is a very small percentage. Really, it is that
Yeah.
it's the fact is like like when people talking about their experimental like for governments and people or even like companies now because who knows maybe there might be some weird Tesla stealth plane that Elon Musk isn't talking about. Um, so that's the idea. Is the fact is that that's why a lot of these things we don't know what they are, or it could just be some weird natural phenomenon, which is why UAP, and they don't automatically go into greens and grays. But the fact is that there is actually officially a person in Congress that wants to go. Let's figure this shit out. We could be talking about fixing the budget, nah. Helping people, nah. Let's find out what's going on in the skies. And so,
And that's the thing. Like everybody really wanted aliens in the '90s and the early 2000s, and then they were ignored. And then 2020 happened, and everybody's like, like ready to fucking rise up and go crazy. And then they're like, "Hey guys, we're gonna do an alien UFO report. And we're gonna let you all know that it's real." And then everybody's like, "Cool, we don't give a shit. Give us more money." It's like you could
uh,
have had us 20 years ago, but not now. Not you done fucked up.
Yeah, and actually, just this past July 4th was the 25th anniversary of the movie Independence Day,
Mm-hmm.
which I saw in the theater when it originally came out. It made me really hate summer blockbuster movies because that movie is horrible. It's a horrible movie.
It had some great effects, but Like the plot line was fucking boring.
It's not good. I
It was
don't like.
cool
There's
watching
some
them like blow up the White House and like the lasers, the aliens. It was visually it was a fun movie, but watching it is boring.
No, it's and like it made me like after that I go, yeah, I'm not watching. It took me like 10 or 15 years before I even thought about watching a weird summer blockbuster movie again. Because like like by that point I just go, nope, nope. I know the formula is way too well, and that movie just burned me on the wall. So, but just an interesting note. It's also the 25th anniversary of Independence Day. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Also, you know what today is?
What's today?
You know what today is?
What's
Today is
today?
Houston Day.
That's right, 713 Day. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know.
Houston's its own planet.
Yeah. It's
So I found that planet that I was looking for.
okay.
So it's 55 Cancri Cancri E. I don't know how to say it, but 55 Cancer E. It's only about 40 light years away from us in the Cancer constellation. It is twice the size of Earth, but is nearly 8 times more massive and twice as dense. The parent star has much more carbon than our sun, and the mass of the planet is thought to be a largely carbon due to the pressure and average maximum surface temperature of 4,417 degrees Fahrenheit, 2,400 degrees Celsius. This super Earth is believed to be covered with diamonds. It is so close to its parent star, it takes a mere 18 hours for the planet to complete a full orbit. So it's
wow.
basically just a diamond-crusted planet. And I watched another video on this a while ago, but somebody said that if they were to go to that planet and literally just bring back a handful of diamonds, it would completely destroy the diamond industry on planet Earth.
So Planet De Beers. All right, got it.
Yeah. You want to go on a road trip?
Let's go. I mean, like like Branson's got his little space jet. Musk has got his stuff just about ready to go. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, for real though, back to aliens. A CIA group in 1952 called the Psychological Strategy Board concluded that when it came to those, the American public was gullible and prone to hysterical mass behavior. The group recommended debunking campaigns to tamper the public's interest in unexplained phenomena, but the government seems to have been interested too. In December, the Pentagon confirmed the existence of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program created in 2007 by Senators Ted Stevens, who reported being chased by a mysterious object, Daniel Inouye, I probably fucked up, and then the Majority Leader Harry Reid, and funded with $22 million of black money from the Department of Defense's budget. The program investigated and evaluated reports of UFO sightings, many of which came from American service members. So much of what the program uncovered remains classified, but what little we know is tantalizing. Based on data it collected, the program identifies 5 observations that showed mysterious objects displaying some level of advanced physics, also known as stuff humans can't do yet. The objects accelerate with g-forces too strong for the human body to withstand, or reach hypersonic speed with no heat trail or sonic boom. Or they seem to resist the effects of Earth's gravity without any aerodynamic structures to provide thrust or lift. Quote unquote, no one has been able to figure what these are. Luis Elizondo program until last October in a recent interview. It keeps going, but yeah, there was a whole team that was like, hey guys, we could fool the public with UFOs. And the government was like, oh, UFOs, we believe in those. Let's do something. Yeah. And they're like, wait, what? I just really love that it was known as stuff humans can't do yet.
That's the official scientific term.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So that sounds all credible. What was the name of the organization again?
Hang on, let me go back up there.
It's,
It was the Psychological Strategy Board.
yeah, and stuff, and then they use a term like "stuff we can't do yet." Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, they sound totally legitimate, completely. Um, no, that's something. Um, Now, some guy, of course, this media makes it difficult, but guess what? You guys can look this up yourselves. Well, apparently there are UFO chasers as well, just out there in the world. Basically, as soon as there's a quote unquote sighting, they'll dig down deep and like do all the like do their own research in addition to like and then pour over the data. And so somebody like looked at some of the pictures from the International Space Station, which is also, a spaceship. Uh, Apparently, one of the astronauts or people or passengers, what do you want to call it, up at the thing took a picture took a picture from the space station of the world, and apparently these small, like almost cylindrical objects, like dotting closer to the Earth, and so this chaser saying that we're being watched by all of these like UFOs. In fact, let me bring up the actual stuff because like it's always fun to talk about. Okay, so Mr. MBB 333, also known as Earth Watchman, said that images reveal 10 unidentified objects traveling with the space station. Apparently, this dude also has a YouTube channel with over 500,000 subscribers, and there's a 15-second clip that shows these things. Now, I'm not saying that these are one way or the other, but they're also in such a way. Like I look at the pictures and I go, I would also say that also could be the way we're seeing them is that they also could be, just because the way the things are traveling, what we're seeing is actually satellites. Because there's a bunch of fucking satellites in the like going over
Mm-hmm.
us. Like the fact is like the math involved for everybody to put these satellites up there and to not crash into each other is very interesting. Like that's like legit. There's like some serious figuring out where to put something up there to make sure it doesn't collide with something else. It's not like everything goes around like this. They're doing all this sort of stuff. And so also really interesting too. But so yeah. So supposedly there's at least in that picture there's 10 little objects that kind of going with the space station, kind of watching either the space station or the world. It's hard to say.
I've seen a lot of like really wild space station videos where like they'll be doing a feed, here you can see Earth out the window, it's really cute, really pretty, and then something kind of starts flying in from the background and then feed cuts. I've seen a ton of videos like that, or they're like, oh, like somebody recorded something on a personal device and posted it because apparently they can get online from
Oh
up
yeah.
there somehow. Science. But they'll be like, people will watch it and see something moving in the window in the background. It becomes a whole thing, and it's like, it's space junk. And it was like, okay, how come y'all have never captured any space junk and shown us what it is? Like, how come you don't study space junk? How come you don't? How come you don't talk? How come it's not? Is what I wonder about space junk a lot.
Well, because the majority of that space junk is actually our junk with a lot of defunct satellites and whatnot. So a lot of that space junk is it's our shit. Like our shit by I mean humanities, not like some random rock or some random thing. But no, it's just like, oh yeah, like the satellite from the 1960s that we basically just put out a commission because you can't beam for shit. That's a lot of that stuff's still up there. And so that's space junk is we're looking at, you're seeing that sort of stuff. So why would we talk about like, that's like going like, why do we want to talk about our old antique shit up there when like everything's all about new. So I mean, I kind of get that. I mean, who gives a shit about the NPCs like satellite number 3 from the 1974.
Yeah, but I also feel like we should do something about space junk, especially if it's just in momentum in space, like, and it hits shit out there that we have, all kinds of problems. I know they don't want to deal with it, but what's that? Oh, there's a spot in the ocean actually where they divert a lot of defunct satellites and things. I want to say I'm probably wrong about this. Pacific Ocean, that's the biggest one, yeah.
Yes, that is.
Yeah. Okay, so the Pacific Ocean, like right in the middle, technical middle of Pacific Ocean, it is closer to the moon than it is any other landmass. So that's where they end up dropping a lot of defunct satellites. That's where they land, modules and all kinds of away from everything. So if you dive down there, there's just a pile of space junk under the ocean in that one spot.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're gonna put stuff up there, at least put like thrusters or something, or some kind of homing device that makes it leave when it's done. Don't leave shit up there. Didn't they see the movie WALL-E?
Well, that's changed over the decades, but like new stuff, yes. Or they figure out like if they know like a specific lifespan, it figures out the things where it has that degradation of orbit. So like basically, so that way it does things like lands in the ocean. But some of the older stuff they didn't know, and so that's what I said. It's stuff from they didn't really start changing that sort of technology. And don't forget, there's a lot of stuff up there that we don't technically not supposed to know about that's still ours.
Yeah.
Weird spy satellites and whatnot.
Yeah, like the Black Knight. The Black Knight is a satellite used as the term of something that orbits something. But the Black Knight, there's photographs of it, and nobody knows what it is. And those who know what it is say they don't know what it is. But yeah, it's this black thing that it's been up there since basically we got cameras in space. They see it randomly. They know it's orbiting Earth. They don't know exactly where it is at all times, but it's unidentifiable. They say it's either like a solar blanket or just a piece of space trash that's floating around the Earth, but it was up there before we got up there.
Oh, yeah.
I found this fun rant. One of the sites I use a lot for our show is Bibliotheca Pleiades, because it's just full of all kinds of just weird shit. But so effects on humanity's religions, beliefs, politics, and others made by manipulative extraterrestrials. This is a fun rant. Revealing an extraterrestrial presence by modern science and institutionalized Christianity would inspire a Gnostic-like awakening, including a reappreciation of the human identity in relation to God. Indeed, ancient Gnostics appeared to view the God associated with the evolution of Christianity dogma as a false God, created under the influence of what was referred to as manipulative extraterrestrials associated with the Old Testament and other religious systems cultivated by expressive empires on Earth. These reportedly included the gods pre-Christian Rome and Egypt and other such religious-based oppressive empires. Quote, since I entered politics, I have chiefly had men's views confided to me privately. Some of the biggest men in the U.S., the field of commerce and manufacturing, are afraid of somebody, They know that is a power somewhere so organized, so subtle, so watchful, so interlocked, so complete, so pervasive that they had better not speak above their breath when they speak in condemnation of it. That was Woodrow Wilson, who was alive 1856 to 1924, the 28th president of the United States. I just thought that was a fun rant. Just Even going back that far, it's like the aliens controlling all this goddamn reptiles.
Yeah. It's interesting. Woodrow Wilson was actually like a really weird, like he was just a really interesting president as well. A lot of stuff he did, he wasn't terribly popular for the time period, from like politically speaking. Although like a lot of stuff he did, they went, "Oh, that's cool," and then they just rebranded it. Like he created the League of Nations, and they went, "Yeah, no, we don't like you, so we're not going to do that. We're going to create this completely original thing called the United Nations." It by no means is anything like the League of Nations, but it's completely just like the League of Nations. Um, Shit like that. So I don't know. It's interesting that he had opinions about aliens and whatnot. So that I was not aware of. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, Carter, there was like, the whole thing. There's a whole thing about Carter and aliens. It's wild. Like, Carter had meetups with the aliens and, made treaties and shook hands and all kinds of shit.
that explains the gas crises and why he only was for there for 4 years. Um, let's get back to weird planet stuff. So, like another thing, cause like basically, it's like this has been the last few weeks. Last few weeks is like this has been the deluge of like there's like a lot of astronomical data that's come forward and stuff like that. So actually, there was just recently a study that was published back on July 6th as part of the Royal Astronomical Society. They actually used the Kepler telescope, and with the Kepler telescope, which is a very advanced telescope for you people, I'll tell you, like where it during a two like basically they did a 2 month stint in 2016, uh, and of which they observed a field of millions of stars near the center of the galaxy every 30 minutes for 2 months. Like so, every 30 minutes, just like a raw feed to look at it. And then what they do is they add, through analyzing the data, originally they hope to see signs of rare gravitational microlensing events, which occur when the gravity of a massive foreground object bends the light of more distant stars and quasars. Basically, by using that, lets you see. Basically, by doing that, creates the fact. The fact is that you see their stuff farther out than what it is. That's how we determined that originally how we saw things like prove that things like Neptune and Uranus existed was based on this type of technology. We never actually physically saw them, at least until the Voyagers went by. So during the course of the study, they found 27 short duration sentinel candidates. And what that all ended up being is they ended up finding several dozen rogue starless planets kind of just wandering the universe. Uh, so they're Earth-sized planets that aren't affixed to a specific star or anything like that. They're just wandering throughout the universe, kind of like the Death Star, but probably not nearly as cool or lame, depending on the building of said things. So yeah, just like another weird thing. The fact is they're finding dozens of these like rogue planets, just kind of like just scattered throughout the galaxy, especially towards the middle of our galaxy, which for the Milky Way is really dense with a lot of like stars and whatnot, a lot more so than where we're at, which is close farther out from the spiral, supposedly. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. I've heard of that one before. That one's, I don't know, like some of the orbits on these planets is insane. But that one, they were also talking, they thought it was a Dyson sphere.
Oh, as far as the center of the galaxy?
Yeah, because of the way it was flashing, they thought there was something spinning around it, and the theory was a Dyson sphere, which isn't a real thing. I forgot what it's from, but it's basically a solar power panel that is formed around a star. So
Yeah.
it's constantly taking it in. So, but when it spins around it, like we get, flashes of it. You want to keep going weird planets?
Sure, let's keep going. Weird planets. We usually don't
Okay.
Usually we're talking about other stuff. I think planets is a good way for us to talk about this time around. So yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, especially in our viewable solar system, or a viewable universe, we always man, there's got to be something out there. But every planet they find is just like a death trap, it's in our direct universe, um, Jupiter's moons seems like the most likely place for life.
Yeah.
But everything else beyond that is no, it doesn't make sense. So there's WASP 12b. There's actually a lot of WASP planets, but WASP 12b is one of the darkest. Huh?
No, that's WASP, white Anglo-Saxon people,
People.
Protestants. Yeah, that sounds
WASP. Yeah, WASP-12b.
Racist planets. All right, got it.
Yep, there are actually several WASP planets. It's weird, but 12b is one of the darkest known exoplanets. The day side of the planet eats light rather than reflects it into space. The exoplanet, which is twice the size of Jupiter, has the unique capability to trap at least 94% of the visible starlight falling into its atmosphere. The temperature of the atmosphere is a seething 4,600 degrees Fahrenheit, 8,312 degrees Celsius. The day side hoards all the visible light because it always faces its star. The planet orbits so close to its host that it has a fixed day and night sides. WASP 12b completes an orbit once a day. The night side is much cooler with temperatures roughly 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, which allows water vapor and clouds to form. A swirl of material from the planet's superheated atmosphere is spilling onto its star. The oddball exoplanet is of a class so-called hot Jupiters that orbit very close to their host star and are heated to enormous temperatures. So one side of the planet is hell. The other side
Less
has
hell.
temperate seasons.
It's less hell. It's hell and less hell.
I mean, but it has seasons because that is the clouds and everything. So it does get water vapor and it does rain and everything. But their winter is probably 21,000 or something. And everybody's like, it's so cold.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of weird. I mean, you look at just the planets within our galaxy, and our solar system. I mean, uh, Mercury is on a fixed plane too, so it doesn't so it actually almost completely has just a hot side, cold side. Venus is trapped in such a big gaseous it's like a planet, but just it's like super greenhouse style as far as keeping everything locked in. Earth, we're fucking that up soon enough.
There was another planet that they found then, and for a while they were calling it Earth 2 because is about the same distance from its star as we were, and it the Goldilocks zone is what they call it, is where everything's just right. So it's called the Goldilocks zone. It was right there, but the thing about it was tidal locked, so it was only one side of it. So one side was completely unbearable, and they did more research and found out the other side was barren, ice cold, Antarctica, the whole other side of the planet. So the two sides of the planet were completely unbearable, but the equator would be perfect. And the equator is only a couple miles, down the middle. So there was the equator, a streak of the Earth that they could have lived on.
Yeah, because
but still, it was the same size as Earth, and it was the same distance. It was just tidal locked and fucked.
Yeah. But yeah. Well, you got things like Mars, which we're talking to, but it's its atmosphere is all but depleted, which makes it difficult for trying to establish life. Jupiter and Saturn are just big gas giants. We're not exactly sure how far down we go, and how far down you go before you actually get planet, but it's distant based on our research. But they all have 8,000 planets. of which one of at least one of the planets, moons, at least one moon on either one of those has potential for things, even though they'd be far too cold for just regular life, but maybe other ways. Was it like Neptune, ice cold, Uranus on its side and like rotates this way versus this way, so that's kind of fucked up. And then, of course, less we talk about Pluto, the dwarf planet, which we no longer classify as a true planet for our solar system.
You're still a planet to me, Pluto.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with the
I don't even remember
NGT.
the rhyme anymore. I mean, I know Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Well, my very eager mother just I forgot what the rhyme was, but man, like I don't know when they were like, yeah, Pluto's not a planet, it's a rock, and it's like, no, it's a planet, you sons of bitches. It's been a planet my entire life. I was arguing it, I was upset, but I understand it. And then they're like, all right, fine, Pluto's a planet, it's just a microplanet. And everybody's like, oh, okay, damn right, it's a microplanet.
Yeah, NGT, man, Neil deGrasse, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like he's the one who spearheaded the Pluto is not a planet sort of thing, and he also did the claim and goes in the end he just goes, it never should have been classified as a planet. I mean, it just fact is it just but yeah, before we knew it, it's like
I get it. They were excited to find it.
So, but yeah, the fact is, like, basically throughout I think our next best thing is trying to call it, like, the moon is probably our next big basis. I'm surprised that we're not trying to get that, because the moon actually has a slight atmosphere that could be built upon if we did it right. Mars is a little bit farther along, which is why I think we're pressuring more to get shit done at Mars, because in theory, we could potentially, over hundreds of years, like actually rebuild that atmosphere, assuming that we don't fuck up ours to the point where we don't have time for that.
Oh, man, I don't know. So I did have today was supposed to be about aliens, but I'm always down to talk about weird planets. There's so many weird planets out there.
Well, it's fine. That's the thing is like this is just like that's always just our going off point. The fact is we don't talk a lot. We haven't really talked about planets before, so it works out well.
Yeah, for sure. There was a couple of things I want to talk about, but I mean, there's so much these. We probably could have made whole episodes about them. Definitely want to talk about Barney and Betty Hill. We've kind of brought them up here and there, but
yeah,
they were an interracial couple that had a crazy UFO experience. They were driving down the road, saw the light, their watches stopped. It was the beginning of that when all that happened.
They're the ones who created the archetypes.
Yeah. There was all kinds of weird shit going on with them. And the reason they didn't want to come out with it is because they were an interracial couple.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But also one of the other things, man, like this could be probably it could be a lot on its own. But so Aleister Crowley was an insane weirdo, amazing, interesting character. You ever heard you know Crowley stuff?
Yeah, I know.
You know about Lamb?
Yeah.
Lamb was the entity that he got a lot of his information from.
Yeah.
There's pictures of Lamb drawn, and Lamb is considered to be the first gray alien ever drawn.
Yeah.
Because of the large bulbous head and everything. We could go all out on Crowley. I love Crowley.
Crowley. I think at some point maybe we'll talk about Crowley soon, because that's like we can just talk about Crowley one. Like there's enough fucked up shit about Crowley.
And I'll do my best not to just sing Ozzy the whole time.
Mr. Crowley.
I mean, I had books on Crowley when I was a kid. My dad gave me a whole bunch of weird books that he had, and one of them was like all fucking Crowley shit. And yeah. And now I've got all of his work, so I've read all of his shit. Crowley's fucking wild.
Yes.
But it's about that time, yeah?
Yeah, it is about that time. So thank you, everybody.
I've got a really short one. If you don't have anything else you want to do real quick.
I don't know. Let's do your short one, then we'll do plugs. We'll get out of here.
All right. So PSR B1620-26b is almost as old as the universe. At an estimated age of 13 billion years, the planet is more than twice as old as Earth's 4.5 billion years. It's about as old as a planet can be. It formed around a young sun-like star barely 1 billion years after our universe birth in the Big Bang. The ancient planet has had a remarkable history because it resides in an unlikely rough neighborhood. It orbits a peculiar pair of burned out stars in the crowded core of a cluster of more than 100,000 stars. So it's part of a binary system of burnt out stars, and there's stars all around it. And somehow this thing hasn't just broken all up. But 13 billion year old planet.
Yeah, I mean, that's if that is to be believed. I mean, after all, according to our Christian friends, well, at least the Earth, the Earth, okay, the Earth is not more than 6,000 years old, but I think that also stems from the fact is that the universe only existed 6,000 years. So
Yeah. No, I mean, like, and that's also like, it's so weird, like hard for me to comprehend, because I mean, I don't have the technology or the understanding or anything, but like, how do they know that planet is that old and everything about it, or the buildup or the makeup of all these different planets, but we don't know anything about the bottom of our ocean? I get the whole pressure thing and everything, but still, like, it just boggles my mind how they can figure out stuff like that. And I know it's thermal imaging and X-ray imaging and all kinds of different stuff. It blows my mind.
on why we're like looking outside versus inside, that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's really hard to say why. I think part of the reason I mean this is my conjecture, it's completely conjecture as far as looking out into the universe. That's free reign. We're not overstepping any like national borders doing that, for lack of a better term. Um, Versus like doing things on the ocean, there may be a lot of like hodgepodge red tape for some stuff in areas because some stuff, while it's still technically quote unquote international waters, there's still some claim by various nations as far as some parts of it. So trying to explore some parts
yeah.
may be difficult, and so I think
Well,
that's some of it. And
I get that part of it. I totally do. I totally get that part of it. Where, like, the top scientists can't go to a certain place because of the red tape, or it's a restricted
yeah,
area. I mean, I had an ex who was a journeyman that had a job at NASA, and they had the plans to everything that was underground. So they were running cable, and they started digging in one spot, and they'd hit another cable, and then boom, men in black suits would say, "Hey, you can't dig here," because there was other shit there that wasn't on the plans.
right.
Yeah.
And
So I understand that there's stuff out there that, like, hey, this is international waters, except for that quarter of a mile square space right there.
what you don't know, what you don't know there until you hit it. The other thing is most of astronomy is just strictly math, and so us looking, it's very passive as far as looking versus stuff like that sort of stuff, because literally it's just 90% is like a radio telescope, or even sometimes a visual telescope, but 90% of what we're doing is strictly just math, and so that's how they figure that stuff out. Versus something going into the ocean that's much more tactile. So like the difference as far
Oh
as
yeah, I mean
how,
the ocean's so pressurized, and, like, we can only go so far down. Like, especially as humans, like, without any kind of major protection other than, like, oxygen tanks and shit. Like, even if you go like 100, like, even if, what is it, 50 miles down, you still have to, like, come up extremely slow, or you get the bends, you get oxygen in your brain.
oh, there's things like you go there's certain depths that like the lowest depth we've ever gone. Somebody coming back up had to spend something like in a week in a pressurized cabin halfway
And
up.
that was what's that? Peter Cameron.
Oh,
No, not
James Cameron.
James Cameron. James, yeah, the director. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
because
just like,
like
I'm gonna
that.
do this, and he went down to the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Like,
Yeah, it took him a week to get back, week to get back to the surface because he had to get repressurized halfway up.
mm-hmm.
That's why like even stuff like the Titanic. It can only go down like that's like you can't even get a lot of people can't get that low because like that's highly pressurized even there, which is why it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't discovered for such a long time. Is because we couldn't get down that far.
Yeah.
And so like now with like the fact is like now with the advent of like essentially robots and stuff like that, it's helped a lot. And we've just that's why we're infinitely discovering more and more and more stuff because we're figuring out other ways to do that sort of stuff. And so
We're
that's
getting
more and more.
closer to the technology in the movie The Abyss.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be like drinking like liquid oxygen to go down that deep or anything like that. I don't think that's
Yeah,
gonna
that
happen.
scene where they put the rat in the liquid oxygen still fucking irks me to this day. I hated it when I was a kid, and I hate it now.
Yeah, no, it's that's that. No, I have no interest in learning that either. Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's the
Real
reason why.
quick, we can do. Let me
Yeah,
just say this. We can get the plug out of the way. But
yeah, yeah.
the planet I was talking about earlier is Kepler 438b. It has an Earth Similarity Index (ESI) of 0.88, the highest known for a confirmed exoplanet to date, making it currently the most Earth-like planet in terms of radius and mass. The planet was announced as orbiting within the habitable zone of Kepler 438, a region where liquid water could exist on the surface of the planet. So yeah, that was that one where the basically just the equator's inhabitable.
Yeah, no, it's. I think we'll eventually figure it out one way or the other. I just don't know where we'll be here on Earth on how that works as far as.
Oh yeah, no, if we go there, it's just gonna be shoulder to shoulder. Like we live like this now, dudes. Everybody gets skinnier.
No, it's just the fact is that's only gonna be a select amount of people. That's gonna be like Tesla One or whatever planet like Elon Musk. It's gonna. It wouldn't surprise me. That's what you.
Oh
It's gonna
man,
be planet.
he'd name his planet like he did his kid, and it'd just be something weird.
It's all like cat tripping over keyboard. Yes, his kid cat
Yeah,
tripping
no,
over
his
keyboard.
planet's just gonna be like it's like you have to write it in wingdings.
Winger, there you go. Yeah. Let's get plugs out of the way, and then we'll get out of here. Do you have anything going on that you want to plug about and talk to people about?
I have nothing going on this weekend. I'm having a party on Friday because a friend is coming into town. I'll mention who it is when we get offline because I don't want
That's
people,
fine.
flooding me with, wanting their affections and whatnot.
It's
They're
not
actually
me.
not that
Just
important.
so everybody's
They're a
watching.
cool
It's
person
not
I like
me.
hanging out with. But
No, it's not me.
yeah, I got nothing going on this week.
All right.
Nothing going on this weekend.
All right, no, that's fine. No worries. So everybody stay tuned right after this. I've got a really fun movie showcasing for everybody. Now I cannot recall the name of it, but it's gonna be a cool movie. I actually filmed the stuff for it, but it's also Jigs. It's good. That's right. It's a film noir called Jigsaw. Really good. Tomorrow night
Okay.
is that's a really cool fun movie from like 1949. Uh, Tomorrow night, I've got the season premiere of the new season of The Devil's Hour with a lot of really cool stuff, including this band from Melbourne, Australia called Clowns. Roxy Cage, who's a great sideshow performer out of Canada.
Yeah,
And
I'm Facebook
uh,
friends with Roxy.
Roxy's really nice. She's a really nice
Yeah,
person.
we're
She's a
like best
really,
friends
really nice.
basically. We're just friends on the internet.
Yeah, she's a really, really nice person. And then what was the name of the other band? God, I'm horrible about this because I can never remember it. I moved into this new space, so I don't have all the stuff I normally have up where I can go, oh, yeah, it's such and such, such and such. Anyway, I also got a really cool band. Oh, no, there's a really cool hip hop artist out of Kansas City, Missouri, by the name of Joey Cool. I'm showcasing his video, which has some mutual friends of ours who are in the video. They're sideshow performers and stuff like that. So it's
Oh,
really cool.
nice.
Also, lots of other fun like that, and then also be showcasing Planet Lisdom, which is starting an hour earlier because she did a big, huge thing with Mars Robert. She's this really great music guy from Canada, and she did like a 2 hour interview with him. And so tomorrow, starting at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, still figuring out time zones. You'll see the Planet Lisdom, and then the season premiere of Devil's Hour, and then on Thursday, I'm talking with a really great burlesque producer by the name of Esmeralda May, who's about to do a really cool show on Sunday, which is digital, so everybody can watch. about K-pop. So like K-pop performer, like a bunch of burlesquers doing stuff to K-pop songs and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. And then tune in next week, and then me and Skaz will be talking something fun as well. We're going to be talking about that right after we get off air. You guys will know what's going on. Follow all our socials. Gaffing the Truth is on the Facebooks. You can follow Carney Show on all the social medias. Follow both of us on Instagrams. You can see our Instagram links underneath us, or follow us on Facebooks. Anyways, everybody, be cool, be safe, be groovy, and as always, keep drinking, everybody.